This is the only bait you need to start catching bass. This is the 5-inch Senko. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways to rig up this bait, starting with the easiest and moving on to the hardest. So, starting with the Wacky rig. Basically, all you're going to need for the Wacky rig is you're going to need your Senko of choice. Here I have 2 different Senkos. So, starting with colors, for Senkos, I like to have some sort of green natural color, like a green pumpkin, watermelon red, some sort of color that looks more natural, browns and greens. And then I'd also want to have a dark color, so like a black and blue, something like this that is going to contrast the water if you have a little bit dirtier water. I always like to have at least these 2 colors with me, maybe more, but these are great colors to start out with. So I'm going to start out with the green pumpkin. And then the only other thing you're going to need for this rig is a 1/0 octopus hook. And this hook there's different hooks that you can use for Wacky rigs. This is just a small, cheap hook. You can buy these in packs at Walmart, and it works really well for the Wacky rig. So all you're going to do for the Wacky rig is you're going to take your line and you're going to take your hook and you're going to feed your line through your hook and tie it on. I would recommend learning the Palomar knot if you don't know a good fishing knot already, but I'm already kind of used to the uni knot, so that's what I'm going to tie up here real quick. And then I'm going to cinch my knot down all the way, and then I'm going to cut my tag end. And now we have our hook on our line. The next thing we're going to do is grab our Senko, and literally all you have to do is feed this through the very center of your Senko. You're going to want to get it as centered as humanly possible. So you're just going to kind of put it, just kind of eyeball it, and you'll kind of learn on different baits where the exact middle is. But that's basically good. And so that's just going to sit right there in the middle of your bait. And the reason for that is when you cast it out there and it's right in the middle, you're going to cast it and it's going to hit the water and just sink straight down. If it's to one side or the other, you might hit there and it will like kind of go to one side and then start sinking, but you want it to just hit and fall straight down. So that's going to help. If it's right in the middle, just going to fall straight down, and you're going to let it sink all the way to the bottom and then until it stops, and then you're going to very slowly hop it off the bottom. But getting it to the bottom is extremely important. You always want to have your Wacky rigs hitting the bottom and then hopping them up, letting them sit very slowly, shimmer back down to the bottom, hopping them up. So this is kind of a slow moving lure. But you do have to remember, since it's weightless, there's no weight, it's just the hook and the worm, that it is going to sink pretty slowly. So you're going to have to be patient with this lure, let it get all the way down to the bottom, and then just give it slow little hops, and that's going to be the best way to catch bass on the Wacky rig. And then before I can show you how to rig the most complex lure on the list, we have the Texas rig. So what we're going to do with the Texas rig is we're going to grab our worm. I'm going to now use the black and blue one, and then the only other 2 things you're going to need is you're going to need a hook. Here I have a 3/0 extra wide gap hook. This is a great hook. You can use it for so many different things. Very versatile. You can even use it for the Wacky rig if you'd like. I've done it before. It does work. I don't think it's optimal. But if you really want to just do one hook for everything, this is the hook. Your 3/0 extra wide gap hook works well for practically any soft plastic out there. But 3/0 is great for the 5-inch Senko, which I don't remember if I mentioned, but the basic size of a Senko is around 5 inches. That's my favorite size. And then the only other thing you're going to need is a 1/8 ounce weight. Now you can get heavier or lighter. I just found for fishing ponds, not super deep, but not super shallow, this is the best weight. It gets it down there, but it's not like super duper heavy. So this is going to work really well. So those are the only 3 things you need. First thing that we are going to do is take our line and we're going to feed it all the way through our bullet weight, and we're going to do it the thin side first. So where it gets small, that's where we're going to push it through. And then once we've got that through, you can just feed that down the line a little bit, set that aside for right now, and then we're going to take this and we're going to tie it on our hook just like before. Get your tag end cut off, and there we go. We now have our hook all tied up. And then this is the part that might give you a challenge when you first start out, but it's really not too hard, and you'll get used to it as you keep on rigging up worms. So basically what we're going to do here is there's 2 ends of a Senko. There's the flat end, and then there's a little bit more pointy end. We are going to grab the flat end, and we're going to stick it straight down on top of the hook point, all the way until the hook starts bending. So right there where the hook starts bending, we're going to push it all the way, and then we're going to grab our worm, and we're going to pull it down, and the hook point is going to go straight through the worm. And then next, we're just going to feed that up all the way over the eye of the hook, up the shank, and then all the way over the eye of the hook, and it might even go over your knot a little bit, kind of cover that up, which is what you want it to do. And then you're going to see that it's going to line up just nicely with where that hook bends. And so then you're going to pinch right where that hook bends. You're going to lift it up, and you're going to push that straight down on the hook. straight down, and then it's going to come out like that. And if you can see, it just lines up nice and straight. There's no extra room in here, and it's not like bending to try to fit it. So it's just nice and straight. And then if you'd like, you can kind of take your worm, push it back this direction a little bit, and re-embed it for a weedless presentation. And that way you don't catch on a bunch of algae or grass or whatever you're fishing in. And then you can grab your line. As you can see, your bullet weight is going to slide down right on top, and that's going to be a nice little Texas rig. Texas rig is great for a variety of depths because of the weight. You can make it heavier weight, or you can even take the weight off if you'd like. The weight is optional. But basically what you're going to let it do is sink all the way down to the bottom, and then you are going to slowly hop it, just like the Wacky rig from earlier. You're going to just take it, hop it, and it's going to fall back down. Different speeds depending on what weight you have on it. And then that should hopefully catch you the most bass. And now for our third, final, and most difficult of the 3 lures to tie up. We are going to be doing the drop shot. Now this was a lure that I kind of was scared about. I was like, it looked a little bit more complicated. I didn't really want to do that. I just kind of wanted to stick to my Wacky rigs and my Texas rigs. But this is one of the greatest finesse lures, maybe rivaled by the Wacky rig. But it is a very great lure, and definitely everyone should learn how to throw it and how to tie it up. So what we're going to do to rig this up is first we're going to grab everything that we need for hooks. You can use a variety of different type of hooks. You can use an octopus hook like this one. Works really great for nose hooking the baits. There's a couple different ways you can do drop shots, which is why it was kind of confusing to me at the beginning, but it really doesn't matter. Just kind of do what works for you. But this hook that you used for the Wacky rig earlier will also work great for the drop shot. Or if you don't have any of those, you can use a 3/0 extra wide gap hook just like this one for your 5-inch Senkos, and that's also going to work. I'm going to show you how to do it with both, but I'm going to rig it up using this. So the first thing that you need to realize is that your weight is going to go on at the very end. So we're going to tie up our hook first, and what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of just trying to tie or not leave as little bit of tag end as possible, we are going to purposely leave a lot of tag end, like a whole foot of tag end. So I'm going to pull it up here, keep on going, a lot of tag end. Of course, this is the uni knot that I'm tying, so that's why I'm doing it this specific way. But whatever knot you're tying, you're going to want to make sure you do it so that you have a lot of tag end at the end. All right, so now we have got our hook tied on, and as you can see, our hook is not in the right orientation. So what we want our hook to be doing is we want our hook to be sticking straight out, to be sticking out like this. So what we're going to be doing, what we're going to do to fix that, if it's not already sticking straight out once you tie the knot, you're going to take your line, your tag end, and you're going to face your hook how you want it to be with the hook part going up. And then you're going to stick this back down through the eye of the hook. And when you pull that down, it should now make your hook stand in the correct orientation. All right, now we've got our hook point facing up instead of kind of facing down. That's in general what you want. And so now we're just going to take our end, and we're going to take our weight, which I don't think I really talked about this much, but there's a lot of different type of drop shot weights. Really, you could even use a bullet weight and just kind of just tie it on somehow. But this is just a nice one that has a little eye, so you can just easily tie it on there. There's other fancy ones, but you really don't need something that fancy. Maybe, 3/8 ounce, something like that. But now all we got to do is just tie that on there, and we should be good to go for our drop shot. And there we go. Once we have our weight on, that is a fully functional drop shot, and now all we have to do is rig up our worm. So this is going to be weedless, which is a great thing if you're fishing around grass and algae and all this stuff. But if you do have this type of hook tied on, then all you're going to do is you're just going to nose hook it, just push it down a little bit, and then out. And then that's just going to sit like there. As you can see, it's not going to be weedless because the hook is pointing out, but it also has a great hookup ratio, so that's another great way to do it. But for right now, I'm using the Texas rig style of drop shot, and so I'm going to take my worm and rig it up just like a Texas rig. So a little bit, 1/4 of an inch down, bend it out, up the shank, and all the way over the eye. And then this is the hardest part for me when I was learning to do Texas rig, but you get better and better at it. It's just lining it up, pinching right there, push it straight down, out, and then you can re-embed it to make it weedless. And that is our drop shot. So I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope you can use some of these tips and some of these rigs to catch more bass in the future. And if you want to check out, I have another video that talks about my whole tackle box after a year of fishing and what it looks like, what you don't need to waste your money on, and just kind of the basics for bass fishing. So if you want to check out that video, it should be up here in the corner, and I will see you in the next one.